the one who utters in the previous stage. That is, the utterance is being separated from the utterer or objectified from himself from a stage of subjectivity. That is, you will feel like uttering the sentence at first. Then only you can utter the other three sentences. Suppose you don't get the idea, you don't feel like uttering a sentence, then there is no question of the other three sentences. So, you should feel like uttering a sentence. That is called the fourth state of utterance. In this state, it is in no way different from yourself, the utterer, and you are like the pool or the lake, and the utterance is separating from yourself like the wave on the surface of the lake. Question yourself, is the wave different from the lake? The answer is no. Therefore, your utterance is not different from you. But again, question yourself, is the utterance different from yourself? Yes, the wave is different from the lake. Otherwise, you have no business to call it wave. You would have called it lake itself. Another example. Take an ice block floating in water. Is the ice block different from water? No. But when the ice block is floating on water, when your mind is accepting the existence of two different things, that is the ice block and water, how can you say that there are no two things? There are two things, the ice block and water. At the same time, there are no two things because they are one in essence. So, they are one in essence, but two by difference of state. Similarly, the wave is not different from the lake, but the wave is different from the lake in its objectivity. Similarly, the utterer of this sentence is not different from his sentence in the fourth stage, but at the same time, he is different from his sentence because he received a proposal into the mind that he has to utter it out. At this point, we have hundreds of pages spent by the ancient scientists to describe the difference in the two stages. Under the heading, the origin of the phenomenon of objectivity. It is a different subject by itself, the science of objectivity. And a group of thinkers, they worked together and they gave quite a good literature in the Vedic text. Those thinkers are called an association of Aitareyas. In Sanskrit, Aitara means objectivity. Aitareyas means the scientists who explained what objectivity is. Under this heading, we have two volumes. One is sound and the other is light. That is, the objectivity of sound from sound principle. and the objectivity of light from the light principle. These two put together, that is the sound principle and the light principle put together, are called Rig, and that branch of literature is called Rig Veda. And now our today's topic forms the content of one volume of that book, that is the objectivity, that is sound principle. So we are convinced that we have 4 stages in utterance, and we have marked them 1, 2, 3, 4, because we approached from our side of objectivity. Now, after coming to a stage of accepting the existence of these 4 stages, let us number them correctly like this, from the other way around, because your utterance starts here and then proceeds in the 4 directions. If you are interested in the original names of these 4 states, I am giving the names. The first state is called Para, state of utterance. Para means supreme or the highest, where the word is not different from the utterer. The second stage is called Pasyanti, state of utterance. That means the utterer looks at his utterance for the first time. In the third stage, it is called Madhyama, state of utterance. The word Madhyama indicates the middle state. So this is called the middle state of utterance. And the fourth is called Vaikhari, state of utterance. The word Vaikhari means in Sanskrit a form state of utterance. That means by this time your expression has taken already a form, having a sentence and a meaning and a set of sounds produced in the A state of sound, that is sound by friction. So in the fourth state, you have produced the sentence with sound by friction. In the other 3 states of utterance, there is sound, there is utterance, but there is no friction. Here it is mental sound. And in the second stage, there is the buddhic state of sound. And in the first stage, there is the soul state of sound. That is sound in soul consciousness. You can call it sound in the last 3 states of cosmic existence. That is Nirvanic, Paranirvanic and Mahaparanirvanic. In total, there are 7 states of existence, and the last 3 states exist in the first stage of utterance. And finally, The fourth stage of utterance is uttered in sound vibration or sound effect, which is not at all a sound. This is the sound we produce and this is the sound we listen to daily. Whereas the three other states of utterance is produced in B state of sound. That is the pool of sound or sound principle, wherein the mental and the buddhic planes of sound exist and wherein the real utterance takes place. And each of these four states have 7 levels of utterance. We have in all 28 levels of utterance along with the A state of sound. And on the other side, you have the lunar month having 28 moon phases, which produces the 28 possibilities of sound utterance. Do you know that from new moon to new moon there are 28 moon phases? If you take an astronomical ephemeris and look into it, you will find 4 quarters in each month. Each quarter having 7 days and the total having 28 solar days. And each of it produces an utterance, which in its turn produces an utterance in each one of us. There are 7 scales of sound working in 3 different levels. For example, every one of us has 3 levels of his or her own voice. That is your normal voice, your low voice and your high voice, each of which contains 7 musical scales, which can be very well practiced from any traditional classical musician of India. There are 21 sounds in all that exist in the A type of sound, but all these exist in all the other 3 stages of utterance as B type of sound. That is sound principles, not sound of friction. And before we go into the application side of it, we give you one more information from this script. It is said that a sound is produced from the vibrations of ether. That is what we call sound vibrations are produced on the medium of ether or akasha. Ether is produced from B sound, that is sound not by friction but pool of sound. And it is described that whenever an egg of space is hatched into a creation, It has its own first three levels of sound that are uttered, and the ether is produced instead. And then ether utters it as echo, and then it produces the sound vibration. So, from sound principle to akasha, from akasha to sound vibration. This is called the creation of sound as the background of the creation of the galaxy, the creation of the solar system. So, if you take any scripture from ancient India, it describes that sound produces akasha. Akasha produces sound effect or sound vibration, which is divided into two. One is the uttering frictional apparatus, and the second is listening apparatus. With this as our basis, let us proceed into another branch, which is called the science of utterance. It forms one of the 6 keys to the scripture. When any scripture is studied according to these 6 keys, you will get at the 7th key, called the master key, which is the pure I am in you. And then only you will get an application of any scripture. Otherwise, a scripture is only a fairy tale and a book of stories. So, there is the science of utterances as one of the 7 keys. First, it is borrowed by the scientists of yoga, and it is very well applied in a principle called pranayama, and it is also very well borrowed by the scientists of the tantra literature. They say that the respiration is a process of utterance. Unless there is an utterer who utters the respiration, you cannot have the continuity of respiration. We should not think that we are breathing. We should understand that breathing is going on in us and we are existing. And because while sleeping also respiration is going on, if we are sleeping, what happens when we go into, if we are breathing, what happens when we go into sleep? If breathing is voluntary, then death, sleep means death. Instead of going into sleep and again waking up from sleep, we automatically die into sleep and we will be thrown into the cemetery immediately. That is what happens if we are sleeping, we are breathing. Understand, we are not breathing, but breathing is going on as an utterance. As an utterance of the I am in you, who is different from the I am you are having at present. This consciousness in the awakened state is useful only for the objective purpose. For example, reading a book or purchasing something or earning money. Only for such things our consciousness, objective consciousness is useful. Objective consciousness is useful only for such things. And this objective consciousness is not useful when we are sleeping. So, when we go to sleep, there must be another consciousness that is making us breathe. We have to accept it. That is called the utterer consciousness, who exists in the first stage in your interior. And when he is making the utterance of respiration, the respiration is being uttered as an utterance of two syllables. One is inhalation and the other is exhalation. The two are called two syllables. And you are asked to meditate upon the movements of your respiration. Close your eyes and meditate upon your respiration. Then your mind leaves your brain and travels towards your heart and lungs. That is, it leaves your objective I am, who is working in the outer world, and it approaches the real I am, who is breathing and who is pulsating in the heart, who is conducting your heartbeat and circulation of blood. This I am should be differentiated from this I am. Therefore, the original I am is called the Lord, who breathes air into the nostrils of man. It is mentioned even in the first page of the Old Testament, the first book, Genesis. But we have no time to think of it. So, there is another fellow in you who is making the utterance, and he utters an utterance of two syllables. One is called the inhalation and the other is called the exhalation. And when you meditate upon the movements of your respiration, gradually you will come to understand that the inhalation is taking place through the sound potency of a syllable, so, and exhalation is taking place through a sound potency of the syllable hum. And you will be able to locate your own mantram by meditating upon your respiration. And as you go on meditating for some months, the consonants will drop off from the sound and only the vowels will be observed by you. When you will get the name of the utterer, it is called Om, or the sacred word that is being uttered through you. If you also begin to utter it, you will be with the Lord. Or if you utter other words only in the world, you will be busy and exhausted in the objective world. And this is what is called the first mantram in the books of Tantra. So, first mantram is what is called Om, the name of the Lord who is uttering in you. And the second mantram is the mantram of the A type of sound, that is the friction in the vocal cord. It is called R1 in the scripture, because it is different from another R which you produce with the tongue. The trill you produce in the vocal cord is the base sound of all the syllables you produce, whereas the sound R you produce with your tongue is one among the many syllables of the alphabet. To differentiate between, they called it R1. They called the, and in Sanskrit this is also called Rik, and a knowledge of this sound is called Rigveda, and the mantrams in the Rigveda hasten the evolution of your sound, and they make you use your sound and the power of your utterance to hasten your evolution. For example, you are expected to know how to utter the other three sounds also. Taking the A type of sound into consideration, you are trained to utter all the other three types of sound on the mental and the buddhic planes, so that you may produce the real sound on the plane of the pool of sound, rectify the ether of your etheric body, and for this purpose you are asked to use the A type of sounds also in a particular way. For example, when you begin to utter Om through the vocal cords, you should know the way how to travel to the other planes of uttering Om. For this, a specific process is given. That is, utter Om vocally and listen to your own voice continuously. Then your mind disappears into your own voice, and then you will enter into the other states of utterance. Then you will gain mastery over the non-vocal utterance levels. These three are called the real musical levels, whereas the music that is produced vocally and through instruments, which we hear and enjoy through the ears, is only musical effect and not music. Try to understand that the musician produces music by his music in the other three planes, not in the fourth plane. Unless the musician knows music in the three other levels of utterance, he cannot be a musician, and he cannot produce music enough to make you enjoy. And the art of total absorption of consciousness into your own self cannot be had by the music of a fellow who does not know anything about the B state of sound. Every good musician is a musician on the mental and buddhic and experience planes at first. And by virtue of his mastery over these three planes, he produces the effect of his music on the sound vibration. And you will enjoy on the plane of effects. And soon you will also learn to go from effects to causes. That is, into your own layers of consciousness. In fact, what is called music is not sound, but sound principle. What's the difference? It is the periodicity that is called music by the musician. That is the capacity to divide sounds, divide time into equal parts, marking with sound. So, your awareness of consciousness through time. Awareness of consciousness through time is what is experienced as music. You know how the musician produces his beat. The second-rate musician can produce his rhythm and beat only when another musician is producing on the instrument. But how can the other musician produce at first? He should go into the capability of feeling the rhythm of time. Then only he can feel the beat of music. Then only he can beat either an instrument or something like that. And how can you detect a fellow non-musical when he is producing a dirty music? What's the difference between non-musical and musical music? The difference is in dividing time into equal parts or groups of equal parts and dividing sound principle on different planes. The capability of dividing in such a way is what is exactly called music. The capability is your awareness in the subtler planes of your existence. The more aware you are in your subtler planes, the more clearly you will be able to produce music. And the more easily you will be able to carry away others into your music. And you can produce the phenomenon of self-absorption. That is, everyone getting himself absorbed from his objective plane to the subjective planes. We have 4 planes of consciousness, as I told you yesterday. The objective consciousness, dream consciousness, sleep consciousness or unconsciousness, or the 4th state, which can be detected by breaking up the triangle which I told you yesterday. So, we have 4 states of consciousness, 3 of which are known by all of us, the 4th known only by a spiritual student or a spiritual musician or a yogi. And if a musician gives his music in a public platform, he should be able to carry you away from your objective state into the other 3 states. And when you are in the objective state, you are having your own objective state different from the objective state of the other. Everyone is living in his own world. Though we deceive ourselves by thinking that we are living in the same world, but when once right music is given, you will slip off from your objective consciousness into the three other subjective levels. And when once you slip off into the second level, there is no your level of consciousness and my level of consciousness. There is only one consciousness existing in all the hall, because there is no objectivity. So, from your plane of objectivity, the musician leads you into the one plane of subjectivity. He never asks you to do the 100 or 150 asanas for 10 years to achieve this level. He never asks you to breathe and keep it inside to make it Kumbhaka, Puraka and Rechaka. He never demands you to stand on your head, or he never demands you to throw a string through the nose and take it from the throat, or breathe in water from the nose and spit it through the mouth. He never demands anything.